February is American Heart Month. It's a time to learn more about ways to understand, prevent, and treat heart disease, which is the leading cause of death in the United States. As our next guest discovered, sometimes paying attention can save your life. Joining us is Tony Gnau. Tony is a corporate communications speaker and video producer from here in southeastern Wisconsin, and he is here to share his story. Tony, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Tell us how your story began, please. You were enjoying a great family vacation in Amsterdam until suddenly the vacation was not very great.
Yeah, exactly. No, we were having a great trip in Amsterdam, my wife, daughter, and I. And, we were trying Dutch food. We were touring the city's canals, and it was a great time. And then on the morning of day 3, we went on this just terrific bike ride through the Dutch countryside. And we got back and decided to have some lunch. And I decided to try the Dutch specialty of raw herring, pickles, and onions. And so you can imagine when an hour later, all of a sudden, I wasn't necessarily feeling all that great. I just assumed that I was having, some indigestion or whatever, because I started to have these really terrible chest pains. And it really just felt like the worst indigestion you could ever possibly imagine. But then all of a sudden, my jaw really started to hurt. And it was unlike any sort of jaw pain that I had ever had in my entire life. And I was talking to my wife and I was just like, what is going on with me? My chest hurts, my jaw hurts. Maybe I should go lie down for a little while. And so I went and I was lying down, and after about 5 minutes, all of a sudden the light bulb went on. And I was like, chest pain, jaw pain. I don't know where I heard this, but those are the signs of a heart attack.
And what did you do when you realized you could have been having a heart attack?
Well, my wife said, do you want to call 911? And I said, well, I think we should. Let's at least call 911 and see what the operator has to say. So the first thing we had to do was Google what's 911 in the Netherlands, because we knew it probably wasn't 911 and it was 112. So we called, and thankfully, all the medical professionals there all speak English. And so I asked if they speak English, and she said she did. And I told her what my symptoms were. And she said, I am sending you paramedics immediately. And so the paramedics got to where we were at. We were staying in like an apartment rental. And they came up and gave me a mobile EKG. And they said, well, we don't know if you're having a heart attack, but something is definitely going on. So we need to get you to the emergency room right away. But the only problem was we were on the 3rd floor of this apartment rental, and they could not get a stretcher up the staircase because we're in the Netherlands, we're in Amsterdam.
Right.
This was a canal house, really tight, narrow. And so what they did was they brought a fire truck in, and they hoisted the ladder up to the 3rd floor. And then they took me out the window, the 3rd floor window, and then down to the street, into the ambulance, and rushed me to the hospital.
At some point in time, as all of this is happening, does it begin to occur to you where you had heard about these symptoms before?
Absolutely. And I came up with it, just short while later, it was like I knew exactly where it was. One of the things that I do professionally is speak at marketing conferences and speak at corporate meetings and things like that. And 8 months prior to this heart attack, I had been speaking at a huge marketing conference called Content Marketing World. And during the closing keynote session of that conference, they actually showed a video from the American Heart Association, and it gave like all these different alternate symptoms other than just the chest pain. And I remember sitting there watching this video, and one of them was jaw pain, and thinking to myself, even in that moment, I didn't know that jaw pain was the sign of a heart attack. And I just must have filed that away. And then all of a sudden, like, I mean, 8 months later, here I am in that exact situation where I had the chest pain and I had the jaw pain. And thankfully, I had seen that video and I had the recall. And it absolutely saved my life because if I had not seen that video, there is absolutely no way I would have gone to the hospital. I wouldn't have called 911. I wouldn't have done any of that. I just would have thought, you know what? I had some bad herring. I'll go to sleep tonight and hopefully I'll feel better in the morning. And if I had done that, I probably wouldn't be here.
You got additional care when you came back here to the United States, and we're all very grateful that you are feeling well and you have recovered. What advice would you give people when we're going to put those symptoms up on the screen now for people to be able to see them so they can recognize what some of the signs are of heart attack? Because as you said, it's not always the crushing pain in your chest. What advice
Right.
would you give people if they're
Boy,
if they see these signs? Hold on to them in your head. But if you experience them, what do you do?
I mean, call 911 right away. Every minute counts. And I mean, I was 51 years old when this was happening. I have always eaten a really healthy diet. I've always exercised. I exercise 3 to 5 times a week. I'm a lifelong athlete. I am not what you would consider a high risk candidate for a heart attack. And apparently, I had this whole history, this whole family history of heart disease that I was unaware of. I had a whole genetic thing going on that I didn't know about. But if you have any sort of symptoms, call 911. Find out for sure because you rather find out that you're not having a heart attack than to not do anything, not call anyone, and find out later that you were really experiencing a heart attack because every minute matters. So if there is any question at all, just, call 911 and find out for sure.
Well, Tony, again, we are so glad that you have recovered. I think you described it from the surgery that had to be done to your heart with bypass surgery. You've got all new plumbing now.
I do. I have all new plumbing. I came back to the States. Thankfully, they were able to stabilize me there in the Netherlands. And they said, you're okay for now. We think you should go home to the US and take care of it there. But they discovered all of this disease in the arteries leading into my heart. And so when I got home, I got with my professionals, my medical professionals at Aurora Healthcare, and it turns out that I needed quadruple bypass surgery and thankfully had that last August. And I've got all new plumbing in there and I'm feeling good and very appreciative of the American Heart Association and everything they do to help educate us. And very, very grateful to everybody at Aurora Healthcare for helping me out and putting me back into shape.
Tony, one of the great things I think about you sharing your story is that perhaps you are now going to be able to give viewers information that may allow one of them to also make the right decisions and the right call to save their lives. So all the best to you. Continue to get health.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate being here.
For more information on heart health, please visit the American Heart Association's website at www.heart.org. Thanks for being with us today. Be well, take care, and we'll see you next time on Connect MKE.